We're live! Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Step into the Portal. I am here with a cast of characters as we all attended the Con of Heroes this weekend in Roseville, Minnesota, sorry. And we headed out there. There's going to be mostly people coming and not so much people going. We're looking to be around 1 hour with this recap here and everything and whatnot. So I am Brandt. Why don't you guys go around and say your names?
I'm Nick, Arcean Spartan.
I'm Emily. I'm with Nick, but I'm not active in the community online.
I'm Larry. I'm like Emily.
And I'm Eric, and oftentimes you can find me online as Semper Ludens.
And you are not like Emily.
Not at all, no. But a little like Larry. So
nice. There you go. Awesome. So yeah, we all headed out to the convention that was this past weekend, and it was a lot of fun and whatnot. And we just wanted to take a chance to recap and say hi. I invited several people to jump on and join us as they could. It's obviously very slightly afterward. Are people recovered yet?
Are we recovered?
No, I had a hard time knowing what day it was and like getting acclimated back to the normal routine.
Larry sent me a message at 10 o'clock last night, I think it was, and I was out like a light.
I called you and I got Emily and not Nick. And I would be perfectly recovered if I didn't have a 10-hour layover. And then a plane that had
Who would
engine
schedule
problems.
a 10-hour layover? That's cruel.
And then, of course, the pilot gets on and says, "Oh, sorry, the plane doesn't feel well, so the maintenance crew has to come look at it." And we're 40 minutes sitting in the plane, and I'm going, "Oh." And there was a guy behind me who would not shut up, talking to his neighbor that he didn't know. I'm like, Jesus, you should just be quiet so I could read my book.
Was that the same person that sat next to you and wouldn't shut up and wouldn't let you read your book either? On your
That was purposeful.
Yeah, but that at least he was talking to me. This he was talking to some poor kid from Yale or something.
Yeah.
I had
Eric,
someone
you
next to me who wouldn't let me read a book on the way home.
I don't want to hear it.
Eric, you flew in relatively early, right?
well, I arrived Thursday around 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Home.
Oh, yeah, home. Yeah. Well, you guys all stayed till Monday. I flew out Sunday night at like 8:30. And there was like a dozen of us at the airport that went back at the same time. So
I wasn't really in a rush to get back to my kids.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. But yeah, we had a big gathering of dinner at the airport. First time I've ever had a meal at an airport because we got through security. It was Sunday night. We got through security in like 20 minutes. But I would say my voice is mostly all recovered now. And I got 10 hours of sleep last night, which is unusual. Normally I get 6. So I think I'm all caught up now.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, ready for the next event.
Well, the people here, you'll hopefully see some other people who are going to join us as they can. A lot of people are putting their kids to bed, but actually the people here have attended Con of Heroes and have also attended the events that we host in Connecticut. And so you kind of get a perspective on kind of two different, conventions for the game, if you will. And I thought that would be an interesting thing. Just so people know, we are planning to host another event in Connecticut in the fall. I don't have dates until I know a lot more, but at least I can throw it out there to people to kind of, put it on your register for 6 months ahead because we'd love to have people to attend that event. Obviously, the idea being if you can attend both, attend both. If you can attend one and we are closer to you or a better time frame, then, come to Connecticut and hang out because we're just growing. We were 25 people and then 40 people, and we're going to keep going from there. So we definitely want to have people come out. So we'll have more information. You'll see it here on the channel, Facebook groups, other things, Discord and whatnot as we kind of plan all of that. But I just wanted to mention that we're trying to do something similar and different at the same time, not copy what's happening at Con of Heroes, but also offer another opportunity for Marvel Champions players to gather. Sound good?
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool. So let's just talk about our highlight of the con. What was most exciting? You can go in whatever order. As soon as you think of something or have something to talk about, tell people what was kind of like your highlight thing of the con. If you say it quick, you're allowed to say 2.
People. Is
For
that
me,
good?
for me, one of the highlights from last year and then the last one that we went to at Connecticut was getting Caleb and Tony to sign some of my encounter cards. So with this one, I was able to actually get Frank and Aaron to sign 2 more encounter cards, which I thought was pretty awesome. Because it just, for me, it changes the game completely. Every time I see an advance now, I can't help but laugh hysterically. And it changed the game for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
This was my 4th time attending the Con of Heroes. I've been able to make it every single year, and every year it keeps growing. First year, I think maybe there was a total of about 50 people or so, and then it went to 75 to 100. And this year, the 4th year, I think, what did it cap at, like 150, 165, somewhere around there. And as much as I love playing the game, and there's raffle prizes and all sorts of things, the best part, hands down, is the community. That these are people, many which I've met at the con and then have become friends with since. We talk throughout the year and we see each other on Discord if we are able to manage meetups. I'm from Nashville, and 2 years ago I actually met 2 other guys from Nashville at the Con of Heroes in Minnesota. And since then, we've been getting together almost weekly. So hands down, my favorite thing about the con are the people who go.
That's a big first step, Eric. The first step is admitting you're from Nashville.
Yes, thank you.
I like to jump on that comment, Eric, because, and you might not know this, Brandt knows this terribly. I shouldn't say despise. I do not enjoy playing games with people I don't know. Actually, before we went to the con, I was so paranoid. I was like, Nick, make sure I'm always playing a game with somebody I know, either you or Brandt or Eric or Emily. Like, I didn't know what I was in for, but I just usually, my experience at, places has been, typically bad. And I was shocked. Like, no offense to those of you on the screen right now, I could have played without any of you and had a great time. The community was great. Scott, who just joined us, was one of the new people I met. I had a great time playing with him. So, yeah, I was absolutely floored by the community. Like, I have slight social anxiety. It might not seem like it because I talk a lot sometimes, but like, new people is like, ooh, but it was amazing how welcoming everybody was, how easy it was to kind of meet people, play games, and the cast of characters was great. I second your point there, Eric. So that was my favorite part, the people.
So
Make sure you're speaking to Mike.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
You're good. We got you.
Okay. I just want to add on to what you both just said. So for me, it was the people as well. I make an effort to ask everybody who their favorite Champions character is, who their favorite comic character is. And I try to also ask kind of what brought them into Champions. And I really enjoy those conversations. And I find that we have a lot in common, and just kind of springs from there. And to your point, Larry, how we're both alike, that we're not immersed in the community. We just have some friends or connections in it. I was also kind of nervous, like being separated. And there were several times that I naturally was, but I just ended up in conversations with other people and just naturally folded into games or conversation.
I think that was one thing I was pretty shocked by this year, was that Emily and I were not necessarily joined at the hip. We were able to get in some other games, and I was pretty, impressed with us for doing that. Because again, it goes back to that social anxiety. But this year, I think, was a lot easier to get into games with new people than maybe last year was. But again, I knew so many more people going to this one than last year.
Cool. Let's get to Scott, because Scott just jumped on.
Hello.
So Scott is one of the people that I believe you've watched and commented on the channel.
Yeah.
And then we met up with you there. You knew Eric? You've played with Eric in the past?
No,
okay.
we met at the con. Yeah, he approached me and he said, longtime admirer of Step Into the Portal, and I totally, love and envy you guys, and it's been my lifelong dream to be on the channel.
Oh,
and here we are. We are fulfilling wishes. So yeah,
dreams come true. Bucket list.
So Scott, tell us about. You could give us a little bit more, but tell us about a highlight of the con, or what brought you there, or whatever, those kind of things.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a huge bucket list being able to go and connect with people, right? I've played a lot with some of the folks that I met there, either on Discord. Some of them I play in the Solo Champions League with, so I've talked to them before. I've been on Critical Encounters and talked to the guys over there, Steve and Daniel, and had a chance to play with them before in the past. But such a small group of individuals that I've actually been able to meet in person. So that was super amazing. I got to echo what Eric and Larry both said, just in terms of being able to connect with people, put faces to names, and actually have a chance to have a conversation. Being in person is radically different from doing something over a Discord channel, right? You get a connection. And the game is meant to be played on a table, right, with the other person right in front of you. I love that physicality of the cards and the people and the conversation and the ease of going back and forth over the game, and the way that the game provides us opportunities to actually connect with people we wouldn't normally otherwise connect to, right? I think that's one of the beautiful things about games. And the con is just a celebration of that. It's, hey, here's this thing that we all can share and connect over, and now let's connect as a community in a way that you absolutely never would with these people normally, right? So that was spectacular. I absolutely loved it. I've wanted to go for the last several years and just couldn't really make it happen. And my wife worked really, really hard to help me be able to make it happen. So I was really excited to be able to be there.
So this is your first one?
Was this your first
This is my first one. This was my first time.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So it was absolutely fantastic.
Scott, I don't know if you feel the same way, but it was my first one, and these guys had all gone before, and I always thought, how can you go to a con for one game, right? I've been to cons for many games, Gen Con, whatever, and I'm thinking, can I go 3 or 4 days with one game? And I got to tell you, I came home, Brandt and I were at the airport, we played 3 or 4 more games.
It was hard to get you to stop playing, Larry.
I was like, I want to keep playing. I want to play tonight, so it was cool.
Well,
agreed.
I love that you all said people, but I was there for the cold hard cash. I won $10K, and I was pretty excited about that. Sorry, in honor of Rocket, of course, it was about the money, right? No lie. I mean, this channel is really about the people. The 4-player games have far surpassed anything to do with playing Marvel Champions. It is about Eric and Steve and Brian and I getting a chance to catch up with each other, laugh with the people who are watching the game. I mean, we love Marvel Champions, and we like to, show off and play what we're playing, but it's a way for the 4 of us to keep connecting, after 5 years of playing together. And obviously other people that I have on the channel, Larry, Nick, Matthew. I mean, there's a reason I'm barely ever alone. And I don't really play the game solo. It's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with people playing solo at all. And even still, I play two-handed. Even like the other week, I played Silk and Shuri. I play two-handed, and my goal is to show that to people. I want them to see it. And I played Expert Kang to be like, let's show what these precons can do, and people can interact. So there's no doubt that the people, the one thing I wanted to shout out was the event that I thought was by far the best was the Loki encounter that we did, which is absolutely fantastic. And this was one that one of the people from the con organized, one of the people attending the con organized, not the con itself. And we played the Loki scenario, but instead we had to fight variants of ourselves. So all the heroes that were playing at the 8 tables were represented as villains of themselves, and we had to defeat those versions as rotating Lokis with the Loki scenario. No Infinity Gauntlet. So the Infinity Gauntlet was gone, Loki was gone, but we had to deal with the other elements. And I just thought it was fantastic. It was really, honestly, simple rules, simple to work with, easy work between the tables, and it was just the design of those hero villains that I thought was just really cool. And that was my favorite event. That was kind of the highlight one. I thought it was a lot of fun. It went long, and we were still having fun. I thought that was a key part of it. Even though it was a solid 2.5, 3 hours, we were having a lot of fun. I do want to get to a couple questions from the people watching. So Jeremiah was asking what the demographic, and Eric, you did a good job. I see you answered some of these questions, but I figure let's make sure we answer what people are asking. So yeah, I should mention that the Con of Heroes is a Marvel Champions specific convention, and Marvel Champions is a cooperative game. So it's a very weird thing to gather for in some sense. I joked about winning money. Other people were at Star Wars tournaments with Star Wars card game, winning money. Or playing for prizes, but that's not what we do here. We just open play, rotate. There's various events. It's really about people. I mean, even people bragging and being arrogant about their decks wasn't really a thing. I saw a lot of people sharing decks, right? Or sharing things they had. Like it was that kind of element. So very different from others. There really weren't board games, although day 3, they do encourage a lot of board games to be played other than Marvel Champions, just as a way to take a break for people who might be like enough is enough on one game, which apparently wasn't us. So there's that. And then we can answer this question, I think. Misty wants to know about heroes that we packed or brought with us. I brought a lot of heroes, and I would have actually brought more. Like I played all mine, and I was handing them out to people, and I wouldn't have actually minded having more, but it was tricky on space. It was about the space that I could fill. What I actually think I needed was like 2 more villains. I think 2 more villains would have been a good number for me. I don't know that I'm going to go through all of them, but I did enjoy the Captain Marvel Mutant Mayhem. That one played very well. My Spectrum Protection deck did very well. By far, my favorite deck I brought was Slow Lord, which is the Star-Lord Justice deck. I just love that deck so much. It's just so opposite of how Star-Lord normally plays. What about the rest of you? What did you bring? Scott, why don't you tell us what you brought for decks?
I brought a ton, way more than I ever actually got to the table. I think the one I played the most was Spider-Ham. I played him in a bunch of different aspects just because he has so much fun on the table, and the noises and being able to act it out is really, really fun. I played him a lot. I played Miss Marvel a couple of times. I played some Doctor Strange, who's one of my favorite characters from the comics. And even though he's grossly overpowered in the game, he's still delightful. I brought an underpowered deck to even it out. And gosh, like War Machine, a bunch of different stuff. It was really a blast kind of seeing.
Yeah, it's tough. You bring so many, it's hard to remember them all, go through them all, but cool. What else did people bring? Actually, you know what? We can tie it together. Because my other question for all of you was, what was your favorite deck? So why don't you tell us decks you brought, and you can kind of end with your favorite deck. I think that'll work well.
Well, I'll say I brought 21 decks. I wound up playing 22 different heroes because I borrowed one. I played Cable and Thor the most, and I never played Cable before, and I never played Party Thor before, and those 2 decks definitely were a blast. I think Cable I played in the Loki alternate villain hero event we did, and that was an absolute blast. You
need to play Cyclops. He's a blast.
No, I'm not a big Cyclops fan. Jean Grey, yes, but not Cyclops. But yeah, no, those 2, Thor and Cable, were my big ones.
So I listed in the chat the different decks that I brought, basically 2 from each aspect. And then I also brought a custom deck that Design Hacker made for Moon Knight, which actually I didn't play this go around, but I think Brandt borrowed from me, and he got to get that to the table. I would say probably the favorite deck that I played, just because it was so effective, was a Rocket Raccoon Aggression deck. It's all, Minion Slayer, focusing on his aerial trait when he has his boots, doing dive bombs with Hone Technique, and you're just clearing the board of all minions. And I ended the game with Hall of Heroes built up with, I think it was 12 or 15 counters on it.
Did you flip down? How'd you have that many counters?
Yeah, well, I had flipped down, but I wasn't able to spend them all because he was just we now granted we were playing a mutant or a minion heavy villain, which was Green Goblin. But it was just a blast and very effective. And speaking of custom content, there was actually quite a bit of that going around. Yeah. Brandt already spoke about the Loki event that they had. Larry can speak to more of the different decks that he brought. A lot of them being custom. I got to play against a custom villain, the Negative Man, that was designed by Andy Norton, who's a local resident there, and I've been able to game with him every year. And that was a blast doing that. And then Sunday was May the 4th. So to celebrate Star Wars Day, a bunch of us played Star Wars Champions, I guess for the lack of a better term, which was designed by Steve at the Critical Encounters podcast. And so we played Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie and went up against the Death Star. And that too was just a blast.
And Chewie stunned the hell out of the Death Star.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That might have been the highlight. Not that I forgot about it, but like, oh, that might have rivaled. I was a little difficult. I really wanted to win that scenario, so I was like, no, you have to do this. You have to do that. So that one was fun.
Yeah, and then before we just move on to the next topic, and sorry to interrupt, but so Jeremiah just was asking Star Wars Champions. So if you go to the Critical Encounters podcast website, I believe Stephen has posted links on where you can find basically the decks that he designed, and you can download them. And I did basically print and play, and so have them all, and then you can just play them at your own. And here's like, this is the Leia Organa deck, and it's basically these are just paper and sleeved in front of like a regular playing deck card, and it works perfectly well for that aspect. So
and I thought that custom content, Eric, was well balanced. Like I was worried.
Yeah.
I printed, like you sent me down a rabbit hole, and I printed about 11 or 12 custom decks for the con, and I played them all. And some people enjoyed playing them. I gave them out, and I did really find that they were well balanced. There's my Chewie, and it made for a fun experience. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Misty, this is the exact correct answer. Rocket is by far the best one. So,
although Ironheart is my favorite
Ironheart's
as well,
good too.
just like Misty.
And yes, I agree with Slay Girl here. Mr. Negative is so good. People should check it out. That's Andy's, and I got to play with Andy the last game, I think, on Sunday. At least at the event, I got to finally play Andy's after 4 years of waiting to play it. I got to play Mr. Negative, and I will brag, I played Jubilee, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm not sure that Stun and Confuse will work." And Jubilee was absolutely fantastic. So I'm proud of Jubilee more than I'm proud of myself for playing Jubilee. She was great against it, so that was very fun. All right, other people, your decks, let us know, and your favorite deck that you played.
Yeah, so Nick and I each had our own kind of deck setup so we could separate if needed, and we both brought 5 heroes and 5 villains. I think, honestly, we had too many villains, and I was definitely feeling kind of the hero fatigue after a while, having the same decks. I had Doctor Strange in Protection, Jubilee and Justice. I had the Shiri Precon, and who are the other two? Who?
Dean's here.
Warlock. You had Warlock.
Yeah, I have Warlock, and it was my first time really playing Warlock, and I tried out someone else's deck, and that was fun too. Oh, and I had Spider Ham, but I kind of missed it. Like I didn't have any aggression. I wanted just a fun aggression deck by the end, just to go like bam, bam, bam to people instead of having these complicated let's thwart and protect people. But my favorite to play, my favorite character is Doctor Strange. I'll always love him. But
Nice.
I had a lot of fun with Jubilee and Justice.
Yes, you did.
Cool.
It worked really well, like the one
That's
game.
I was so frustrated when I played her. That was the last game of the
It's all
con
about
for us.
timing. Oh, so yeah, to add on to that, like for moments, like what you were saying before, Brandt, like the people I really liked, but I loved how like at these cons they do like big room events. So I think it was Friday night where it was like the whole room was like defeating the villain. It was kind of long, but it was a lot of fun. Like remember when they're like, "Oh, he's under 1,000 health," and we were all like, "Yeah." We were all just kind of like powering through it. And then our last game of the con was with friends, and we bent the rules a little bit to do 5 people.
No.
Yeah, and Larry screwed up the rules with Kang. He
Five-player
forgot him.
Kang.
Hi, Dean. And it
Oh,
was on
God.
these tiny tables.
And I
Yeah.
played Jubilee.
Oh yeah, King was not nice. We made it difficult on ourselves.
Yeah.
But I've got to be honest with you, Emily. I agree with my buddy Colby, who was in on the game, and it was also his first time. I think it was one of the most fun scenarios I played the whole weekend.
Oh, the last one,
The
5
Kang
on
one,
King.
yes, because we were
Yeah,
all
Kang is fantastic.
we were all gassed. I felt like a blithering idiot by that point, and
But you
Larry
knew the
was-
rules and I didn't. That's why I don't run
Oh,
villains,
that's
Dean.
okay. But Larry, I defer to you. One of the first podcasts I ever watched besides Team Covenant was you and Brandt.
Mhm.
You know, back in, was it 2021 or whatever, when I
2020.
started playing this game.
I
Was
don't
it
know
2020?
yeah, 2020. Eric, I
Well,
don't know
man.
if
I
you
watched
heard.
I watched an old podcast because I don't think I really started playing until 2021, and this was like my fourth Con of Heroes, and I have to be honest with you, one of my biggest um, treats, one of the things that made me happiest was seeing you and Colby, and other people, really enjoying themselves, having a blast, and just chilling out after a long day of playing and just
More with
commiserating.
the
To me,
people. What about
it's
the money?
what money? I
We went
lost
We
around
talked
money.
about
I
the
saying-
didn't make any
giveaways. There
money
were
on
some
this.
We
cool
went around
giveaways.
saying our highlight of the con, and everybody was saying the people. So I joked and said I was there for the money.
I
Right.
actually did catch that. I was while I was waiting
gotcha.
for the train to move, the Iron Horse, the subway, because we were stuck in between stations for like 15 minutes. I did hear you say that you made 10K. I was like, really? I said, how come we didn't get any of that?
I'll tell you,
And
Dean
by
is
the way,
being
this is apple juice. Just kidding. It's not. But anyway.
Dean's being
Cheers.
generous. When we played Kang, I don't run villains, and I shuffled the four side schemes that mean he can't take damage that are supposed to come in the third stage.
Yeah, the
Oh,
sword.
right.
The sword
I
of
shuffled them in the
Damocles.
first stage, and Dean's like, they're not supposed to be in there. I'm like, yeah, they are. Yeah, they
I
are.
said I don't think they're supposed to be in here, Larry.
And all four of them showed up in the first half of the
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, we earned that bleep.
Yeah. Well, I
It
know
was fun.
Scott will attest, speaking of Kang, never give him a symbiote suit.
It was
Because
brutal.
we went up against
You
Kang
gave
for the
Kang a
campaign.
symbiote suit?
For the campaign, he was our first challenge.
Oh, gotcha.
And it took 3 times to defeat him. Yeah.
Oof, yeah, that's a lot.
In like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
It was epic.
Yeah.
Scott, you told us about your decks, but you actually didn't tell us a favorite deck you played and all that. So did you have a favorite overall or one you saw or whatever?
I think my favorite would be one that I saw rather than one that I played.
Sure, tell
which
us.
is probably Jarrett brought a couple of decks. One was a Psylocke misdirection deck where he was using Face the Past to pull out Chimera and then both misdirect Chimera into the villain. So with Psylocke spread, she gets a bonus. Chimera gets a bonus for every mental upgrade you have down in front of you. So sometimes she would be swinging for like 7 or 8 damage. And so then he would
Oh, I love
misdirect that
that.
into the villain.
I'm in. I'm so glad I
and
heard
then
about this
misdirecting the
deck.
villain into different people. So that was amazing. I thought it was fantastic. And then he also brought a Star-Lord Wakanda deck. So it had all the Dora Milaje, and he was powering them all up with Star-Lord. He had one turn. He went from having just a couple of the Dora Milaje out. He had the Guardians of the Galaxy support out there, and he threw so many supports on those in one turn. I like turned away and looked back, and there were like 10 on the table, and he just went ham. I was Cyclops. I threw Exploit Weakness, like the team. We had an Ironheart out there. It was devastation so fast. It was an absolutely phenomenal deck to watch.
That's a great deck.
Kind of hitting the table. It was really fun. He had 2 absolutely excellent decks that I thought were a blast.
Nice. I like that a lot. I'll have to track those down. I love that idea. That Psylocke deck. That seems great. Yeah, I see
really
more
fun.
people in the comments here too. Well, I will totally brag and name drop here, but my highlight was my last game at the convention. I got to play with Drew, DROO,
Yes.
the
Mhm.
pretty much most famous deck builder on Marvel CDB. I think obviously there's other people making great decks on there. No offense to them, but I didn't know who Drew actually was. And then somebody's like, oh, that's Drew over there. And we met, and then we got a chance to play a game. And I said to Drew, I said, would you play I said, can I play one of your decks? You know, like these famous decks that are all over the internet, right? We see all these ones. And I was like, oh, I really want to play with, obviously I could build it, but it was like, can I physically play with one of your decks? And they were like, yeah. So Drew actually gave me an unpublished deck that they made, which was so cool to play one of their decks that they haven't put up on there. I won't say everything about it, but I will say that it was Scarlet Witch Aggression, which is not what I expected to be handed.
Yeah.
Like in the grand scheme. And it was absolutely fantastic. Like, it was so fun to play, and I said, don't tell me anything about it. They did actually give me some of the history behind the deck, which was really neat, but nothing to do with how to play it. And so it was fun to do that. And then Drew said to me, well, if I'm going to give you one of my decks, you have to give me one of your decks. So I gave Drew my Star-Lord, my Slow Lord, Star-Lord Justice deck. And it was just great to watch Drew like draw hands and then be like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is going to be a great turn. Oh, I have an amazing turn. Wait, I'm going to draw so many cards. Like, it was just so fun to have somebody commenting on your own deck. So my new thing now is going to be switching decks with people.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do. You play mine, I'll play yours. I think that's just another element of like, I don't even care what decks I bring because I want to bring them so other people can play them now. I think that was a really neat part.
Well, I think an important part with that, though, is
outside.
like people that are newer to building decks, you could also give them pointers on it. Like I could already see that if you and I were to do that, and you could be like, well, that's a terrible card for this deck, Nick. You need to go and put something else in it.
Whatever. It's a resource.
But I think it helps improves people though as well. Like I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, two of the most incredible decks I saw this weekend were designed by other people. One was Brian Blair has a Gambit protection deck that utilizes the new card Stop Hitting Yourself that comes with Silk. And he builds up Gambit's counters. And then using Gambit's protection card, and I forget which one that is called, but then with Stop Hitting Yourself, he was defending for like 20, 25 points. And then with Stop Hitting Yourself, you can turn that around and then attack straight back to the villain for 20, 25. Wow. It was just an awesome deck to witness. He has it published up on Marvel CDB. If you look it up under Gambit Protection. And then the other one was designed by Sean. And it is a Ms. Marvel Justice deck. And he was removing 35 threat on a single turn, which was just incredible to witness.
Peak or every turn?
Peak. No,
Okay,
definitely peak. But he was removing a lot of threat. But then when all the cards aligned, he was able to hit like 30, 35. And we happened to be going up against Venom Goblin in a game after midnight, which I never recommend, especially against Venom Goblin. But Sean held it. Yeah, he kept all the threat in check. Then if I could do one more shout out.
Go ahead.
One last shout out for an incredible deck, and it is on Marvel CDB. So I played a game with one of the con organizers, which is Kennedy Hawk, Dan, and Sco, who's another well-known attendee of the con and one fourth guy. And Dan had kind of tipped the hat that there could be a mole in our midst, and it turned out that Dan had given Sco a deck that he had designed, which was Spider-Woman playing mostly protection, but she was a mole for the villain and was doing everything counter to what you would want to do. So for example, he brought out the Pericles, the protection aspect helicarrier, and he would give a tough status card to the villain. And then he would give a stunned card, to one of the heroes or things like that.
Oh, wow.
Initially it was just very subtle things that he was doing. Like he brought out the Hulk ally, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but could end up doing damage to everyone. Little things like that. When his obligation came into play, instead of flipping down, exhausting, and removing the obligation from the game, he chose to put 3 threat onto the main scheme, which is one of the options of the card. So it's little things like that. But then with the Pericles, that definitely, the jig was up. But yeah, a very neat deck to see him play.
That is very thematic because Spider-Woman in the comic books has been like a double spy a few different times. Wow, that's
so she was a triple agent. In
triple
this case.
agent, that's right.
She was a triple agent.
I think it was like during the Skrull invasion or something like that, But
in the Skrull invasion, she was the Queen Skrull.
Right.
Oh, is that what
Right.
happened in the comics? Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Did
I-
everybody? Did you get
Go
a
ahead.
chance to tell us, Dean, about a favorite deck you played?
Yes, actually, and you helped me a little bit with it. There were two favorite decks I had. I had some real stinkers that I thought were good after one play. There was a Nightcrawler deck that really sucked hard. And I was like, and they were making fun of me, But then I did a derivation on the first game I played. I think was with you and Larry, and we played standing up, and that was one of my favorite ways to play. I love playing standing up because you don't feel tired afterwards. You feel energized. And one of the upright tables that they had, and we played Thunderbolts, and it was a Nick Fury deck, I think, and it was pretty good. But there was a Black Panther deck, not the Shuri Black Panther, but T'Challa Black Panther, the one true king of the Wakandas.
I was going to say, was T'Challa also Black Panther in the comics?
Yeah. Yes, he was.
I think so. For a minute,
For just a minute. Actually, that was one of the first heroes that when I started reading comic books, I remember reading a Marvel team up with Spider-Man and T'Challa, and I was like, man, this guy is cool. So
yeah, tell us about your Black Panther deck.
Sorry. Okay. So about Black Panther, I had the Dora Milaje thrown in there. And, it was a typical Dean deck with way too many cards. And you said, hey, why don't you shave this out? Why don't you take that out? And then we played MODOK and with Ricky, who's a local guy who I played once with. And he was, because Colby and I hadn't played MODOK since your event. Mm-hmm. And every single hand was like excellent. And it just goes to show that when you have master deck builders like yourself and like you mentioned, Drew, it makes all the difference. And
I'm not in the class with Drew.
What's that? I know.
I'm not in the class with Drew.
Let's face it, there's a reason why, Eric and Larry and Steve play with you. And that's because you, my friend, have a beautiful mind when it comes to this game. And hey, Scott, sorry I didn't get to meet you, but maybe next year. But yeah, that was my favorite deck, the Black Panther deck, and it was, he's a character that doesn't get enough love, and I think the Dora Milaje, and I played him in protection, with what's that card, the green card that has a Wakandan warrior with a shield.
White Wolf.
No, not that. It's you get to use energy.
Energy shield.
Energy to
the
defend.
energy shield.
Is that
right.
in Silk or is it in Shuri's deck? Shuri's back.
It was in
Silk's
deck.
It should be in Silk's deck. Yeah.
Silk's deck. But yeah, I had like 3 copies. I said, no, you just want one of these. And then you just want, 3 desperate defenses because I only had 2. And, you were right. That made a big difference. And again, it's something small. It's something insignificant. But, when you're a piddling player like me, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, I'm not big on putting multiple copies of a card in my deck so I can see it. That's a very CCG oriented thing, like the efficiency to defeat the other player. But in a game like this, I'm not afraid to go above 40 cards by any means.
Cool.
And having multiple copies, the only time I do it are some of the upgrades, like a lot of times, like a Guardians of the Galaxy, that actual leadership upgrade. I like to have 2 of those because the deck's really linchpin around that. Now, of course, if you know that build support is somewhere amongst the players, then there really are 2 copies of it. You don't need to worry about it. But yeah, that's a thing that I do as well. Cool. Well, the last-ish question I have for people, we can definitely keep chatting. We don't have to be that quick, but I just wanted to know, so people are saying, they haven't been to the con, or maybe they're not sure about going to conventions, or like Larry was saying, something so specifically Marvel Champions, like maybe it's somebody who goes. Are you saying hi to the cat?
No, Dale.
Hi to Dale.
Yeah, Dale, Casual Gamer.
Oh, Dale.
Yep.
I just didn't want to stop you.
Dale.
Hey, Dale.
It's like when Norm walks into
around
Cheers.
here,
The living legend.
Man, more popular than me talking. Yeah, Dale came up to our event, and that was a lot of fun.
Gamer known as Dale.
and whatnot. But yeah, so I think people are kind of thinking like, why would I go to something like this versus going to a bigger convention where I could access to more games or cost or time of year or whatever it is. But what would you say to people, that are considering and they can make it? I mean, I'm not sure what to tell to somebody who lives outside of America. I mean, obviously, if you live right over the border in Canada, that could be easier. In terms of travel and time, it's hard to weigh people's money and time for them, right? But just, what are you thinking? Are people thinking of going back to the con next year? It's a must. Or like our event that we're going to have, or maybe even starting their own event in their area if they can't. Like, what are people's kind of thoughts overall on all that? And then we're going to get to all the people. You know what? Before I ask that question, I'm going to say hi to all the people. Dale's here. Michael's here, one of our local players. He's also going to be joining us, so that'll be awesome. And Akneth, who I got a chance to play with as well. Yeah, when Dale walks in, everyone cheers. It's so true. So there's that.
So
what is this?
I'll say as a first time.
Right, go ahead, Larry.
As a first time person, and to help with Michael's question as well. Pack heroes, right? Villains, everybody's got villains. They have this, I don't know what they called it, an HQ, which was really cool, where they pretty much had almost every villain and side, thing going, so that if you wanted to try something, I forget who I played with, where I think it might have been you, Dean, but I ran up and grabbed Sentinels and we brought it back and we played Sentinels, right? Because I didn't bring Sentinels. So I think heroes are probably more important than villains to play as a new person. And also, I think one of the values in going outside of what we've already said about all the people is seeing the different play styles, seeing the different. God, I've spent so much money. I spent more money coming home buying new crap for Marvel Champions than I did going to the convention. So, you see all this stuff. You see people's cool, deck boxes and carrying cases and tokens and all art cards, and it's like going to a World's Fair if you're a candy lover, like a candy shop in Sweden or something, and you're like, oh my God, I want all this stuff, right? So I think it's a great experience, not just for the game and playing the game, but playing with different people who play differently than you or than your play group, and just seeing how they do different things with decks and how they set their stuff up. And it will cost you some money if you're like me and want to get it all, and like Pokemon, got to get them all. But and I think Eric might show off some of the alt art stuff later. But yeah, there's some cool stuff there. It's definitely worth going to.
So give me 1 second. I did not actually realize that StreamYard limits me to 6 people on camera.
Oh. Okay.
So I'm going to attempt to remove myself to put Craig on camera, and then Eric, I may remove you as I come back in when I need to. So just so people see people swapping in and out, Craig is joining us as well. We'll give Craig a chance to talk. But I didn't know that. And it might not do that. In this case, Eric, I'm going to remove you because people see you all the time.
Fair enough.
We prefer to see you, Eric, and
What's up, Craig?
Brandt.
Craig, welcome.
Hey, Craig.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
So I guess with Brandt gone, I'll moderate for a moment. So we were obviously just catching people up, talking about favorite things from the con, whether it be your favorite thing that occurred, favorite decks that you either got to play or that you got to witness being played.
Oh, sure. I think I think my favorite thing was probably all those. I wasn't expecting like the volume of alternate art heroes that were kind of distributed, and I'm one of the outliers that actually really enjoyed the blind bags that from the official kits when they were out. I thought it like kind of drove people to go to multiple events, which was cool. So it was nice to see that kind of return in its own way for this. And the most surprise, I'd say, like the thing that surprised me that I wasn't expecting that I liked a lot were the bingo cards. Like those were a lot of fun to try to chase. Like I didn't even know that was happening until I picked up the sheets, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And it was like a good way to drive you to go try to play other people instead of just like stick with your group of people that you already know.
Yeah, I got in trouble for trying to make someone play outside because of that bingo card.
Yeah.
I love the bingo card.
People who are watching us have not seen the bingo card, right? Because they weren't there. So it was just like, it could be things like, play with someone who's from another country, or play, with someone who's like, under 18, with like a parent.
Or Larry's Bane, lose a game.
Lose
Yep.
a game, play like a 4-player, all protection or leadership.
Mhm.
You come to a
I think that
table
was
where you
Marcel.
both wanted to play the same ones.
Yeah, that one was Marcel's, and then
Shout out to Marcel. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then the
Mhm.
con had one that they gave, and it was awesome because each bingo card was different, but it was play a character, and you got extra points if you played it in a specific aspect. So that was really cool because now you're starting to push people playing aspects that maybe someone else didn't have, which I thought was pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
that's
So for the
catch-up.
con one, like it had a certain number of heroes. It was all random, like you were saying. And then, you could high five someone if you played aspect, but your heroes didn't count. Like, I was like, hey, look, it's Doctor Strange protection.
Just hand someone else your Doctor Strange deck.
I
all day.
guess. So,
All right.
sorry, go
So
ahead.
the next question for Craig, what was it?
Favorite
deck that you saw?
or play?
Either favorite deck you played or favorite deck that you saw.
Yeah, I think I think the favorite deck that I saw was like I actually saw Caleb playing, and he was rocking Adam Warlock, which I didn't
Yeah.
see any other Adam Warlock, so I thought that was nice to see. And
You
then
didn't
the
see
other,
Emily play.
Larry had a deck.
and also I know like Michael and I think Tyler were doing like a Grant Ward disposal like trade where they just try to ready him a bunch of times to get rid of him before he betrays you. And yeah, my favorite that I played, I just played a lot of Nightcrawler Protection mostly. So it's my favorite. Yeah,
Yeah, there
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
I
So-
didn't bring a Nightcrawler Protection because I knew Eric was, and I probably would have brought one if knowing now what I knew then.
Hey, Craig, this was my first time meeting you at the con, and we started talking about Nightcrawler, and you handed me an energy, a strength, and was it intellect power cards? I mean, resource cards, and I was blown away. And you handed me your Nightcrawler card, which was it Eric just showed. So I liked that one, but I liked another one that you created even better, and I traded somebody for that one. The one I mean, I love that Nightcrawler, but this one had him in a this one has him in like a suit or something at the anyway, it doesn't matter, but the point is that it was really cool that you love Nightcrawler as much as Eric and I do, and that you created all these cards. And I guess maybe I got to get you a copy of the mat that I made that I didn't get printed in time for as a thank you for your giving me those cards. And it's just the kind of camaraderie, and you find people like characters that you like. And to me, the trading of the cards was one of the best things about this particular event, because I think it showed off all the different levels of creativity that people have. And you got to give a shout out to the Winning Hand and Boom Guy for really encouraging this type of thing. I mean, as much as I love some of the hero cards of the characters, sometimes and one of the things that I chose in the raffle was a variation on the core heroes that was still available, and I grabbed that. And I think to me that was one of the most exciting things about this event. And it was really nice to meet you, and I'm really disappointed, kind of bummed that we didn't get to play, but then again, my focus was on some other things. But next con, which I'm definitely going to, I hope you're there. We got to get a game in. And the same thing with Eric. This is the first time I can remember we didn't get a chance to play.
Yeah, our
So-
fourth or fifth event together. But
Yeah, and Eric was one of the first people that I met at the first con, and we've been palsy walsy since. And you've come to New York a couple of times. I've got to go to Tennessee and hang out with you and your crew, and that's what makes the con special for me.
Hey,
It
Eric,
builds
what was the
friendships.
last question that we needed to answer? It was, what would you do for other cons?
Yes.
Oh,
Oop, you're muted, Brent.
No, Brant,
Yeah.
you don't have you're muted,
Perfect
Brant.
timing.
Can't hear you.
There you go.
Brant, you're
Nope.
muted.
Still can't hear you.
Okay,
Bring
sorry,
Eric
I'm
back.
here.
There we go.
I
Bring
see Eric
Eric
make
back.
a face at me off stage. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just want to respect the time and everything that we have, and we'll bring Eric back. Everybody can hear from Eric, I promise. Or you can watch on Tuesdays when we play with Eric, and you can talk to him then. Dale said he's giving me a thumbs down for taking Eric off camera. But yeah, I just want to talk about cons in general, and telling people to go again. Con of Heroes is awesome. Totally want to encourage people to go to Con of Heroes, but also look for other events to go to. Your
Right.
local play, events like we run, or if you're on the West Coast, like having an event. If you're in another country, starting up an event. In fact, I would encourage people, if you're in an area where there isn't one of these and you're unable to get it, contact me and I will help you. I will give you the information that I've gone through and the Con of Heroes people have gone through and how to get this all working. I would love to help another region get something like this going, and also continue ours. So let people know kind of like your experience with this con, what they might want to know. Scott, I'd actually love to hear from you, being your first time. So if you can jump in here next, that would be great. And letting people know, like, you finally made it, your first experience. Would you consider going again? Even stuff with how you work at that out with your partner, like, could be a key thing. And we'll go from there. Okay, I'm bringing back everybody's favorite, Eric.
Welcome back, Eric.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
That was great.
One, making it work is obviously can be challenging, right? If you have
Mhm.
family, if you've got to work, I have kids, and juggling that is difficult, but it's absolutely worth it. I think it's something that, for example, my partner happens to know. My wife knows it's really important to me, and I love this game and I love the community. So it was something that she was passionate about, making a space for me. So I think expressing that, if you haven't, to somebody that's important to you, by all means do. This community is huge and incredibly welcoming. I don't think that can be overstated how much, as somebody who's new, I knew a couple of people. But for the most part, most of these people that I interacted with and played games with, I'd never met Eric before. And yet he invited me to come and sit, and I got to play with him and the guys from the 2D board games. And we played several scenarios together, and it was amazing. I connected with people I'd never met before, and everybody was exceptionally welcoming, inviting you to come play. Never a sour attitude or a bad word. It was just very, very inviting and encouraging environment. So if it's something that you love, if you love this game, this is the type of thing you're going to want to go to. And also to recognize that that's the kind of environment you can also bring home if you want to start your own event, or if you want to try to build that community in your area. I used to live in Kansas City, and we had a fantastic community there. I don't necessarily have one where I live now, but getting that connection, it kind of reminds us that, hey, there are other people who might share this. And so, one, I would highly encourage people to go. Don't worry too much about what you're taking. Focus on being able to spend the time. I would say prepare enough that you don't have to worry about what you're going to play or what you're going to get out, so that you can focus on just spending time with the people who are there. You don't want to be like, well, let me build a deck. It's going to take me 30 minutes or whatever. I think you're probably going to want to just be playing the game. And just take back with you that spirit of camaraderie, the community. Get connected with people and stay connected, right? Like, if you have a connection, follow it up. Get a phone number, reach out on Facebook or Discord or whatever your social media preferred is, so that you can stay connected in that community, because it really is a powerful and meaningful community. Sure.
Agreed.
Yeah, 100%.
The other thing I've learned that you can do if you're trying to build up your own local, like Marvel Champions community, or even just a gamer community, if you go to a favorite local game store and ask them, is there anyone that pre-orders the Marvel Champion, decks or hero content or anything else that comes out for the game? And if there is, is the store able to put you into contact with them, or say, hey, would you mind passing my phone number along? I would love to get in touch with them and get a game together. Unfortunately, the OP kit events aren't being currently done. That was another great thing. Or just if there is anything, Facebook or Discord or anything else, if you have like a local group, I'm in Nashville, right? So there are a couple of different Nashville Facebook gaming groups, and just reach out and say, hey, on Saturday, May, whatever, I'm looking to host a Marvel Champions event at whatever store, so it's open to all, please, come one, come all, spread the word. So there are a couple different things that you can try to do to find those who love the game and that you can try to connect with.
That's actually what my brother did in Delaware. He went to his game store and said, hey, I'm looking at running an event. I think he said he had 12 or 16 people that ended up showing up. And he was actually freaking out like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough stuff to run all of these games, which, is an excellent problem to have, because normally there's someone in this community that's ready to jump in those kinds of situations and maybe run a game and help someone out like that. So, I mean, yeah, I recommend you do that. I've been fortunate enough that I could just piggyback off all the hard work that Brandt's done at the portal. And I thought it was great because we looked at each other at one point in this convention and we're like, we should bump up from 1 month or once a month to once a week. And yeah, so I'm excited about that.
So we'll see you this Sunday, Nick.
If Emily will let me out of the house.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to add on, because I know we're almost out of time, but some of the stuff said in the comments, but not on the video, that like all these events, they're really open to all player levels, right? Yes. It's not just the people who are really good at it. It's not, we're the content creators or anything. It's everyone. And we went to a local event with our 10-year-old, and I'm not strong at deck building, and we didn't think to build the deck ahead of time. So I did one for me and her at the event. And we talked to someone we know, and they were just so kind, pointing out to her. And she was like, this is my deck, and this is what I was thinking. And they gave her feedback, and they didn't make her feel like she did something wrong. They were just kind of encouraging her.
That was Steve, by the way, since he's on the channel all the time.
Right.
I was going to say that, to me, gaming is, for some people, is a quest. It's a lifelong journey. And I was really happy to bring my friend Colby, who's been gaming since the late 60s. And he's the one who introduced me to this game. And I've known him for 30 years. And he had such a great time. I know you and Larry and Colby connected, and they had a great time. And I think that, like somebody said earlier, that this is all about sitting across from somebody and developing a connection with people, and I think there's nothing more pure and special than developing a friendship, a community. And think about this, a lot of us didn't really know each other until the pandemic, so it was very serendipitous in a way. It was, a lot of people suffered a lot during the pandemic, but everybody here met some ways. Well, not necessarily everybody, but a lot of people here met during the pandemic, and we made lemonade out of lemons. And of course, was doing something that we love to do, which is game. Some of us love comic books, and the IP of Marvel and the MCU. But at the end of the day, it's just somebody sitting across from each other and just having a great time and talking, and friendships are developed. What's better than that?
Oh, kicked Eric out again.
Right as he's talking.
I
wasn't sure he was going to start talking. I'm not sure if he was going to say something. Wow, Eric, those are such wise words of wisdom. I don't even think they're repeatable. Anyway, I wanted to thank everybody for being here. I did want to mention, Michael asked earlier about just basic in and outs of when to arrive and when to leave. It's really up to you and your schedule, but I feel like the earlier you can get there on Thursday, you can meet up with people. You can kind of catch people ahead of time. There was a lot happening in the hotel, so I think Thursday's a big benefit. Craig, I think you go in on Wednesday.
Yeah, I got weird flights. So my direct flights are either get in after 10 on Thursday or after 10 on Wednesday. So I chose Wednesday, so I'd have more time before.
Got it. So there's that. And we flew out Monday morning. It was early. I think it made sense to be able to stick around. I think a late Sunday flight is probably fine. And obviously everybody's is going to change, but if you're looking at how long should I actually stay, there was still things happening on Sunday night, although the hotel removed all the chairs, and that was very weird. But something I definitely recommend getting there on Thursday. I think it's better than coming on Friday if you can. And I think even staying in the hotel that was nearby, even if it is more, it just, you're there, like you're with everybody, because everybody was telling me like, oh, you're gonna have to walk between the two. Like, it was not a walk. Like, I don't consider that a walk. It was like 5 minutes in sunshine. Larry gets a little cold, so it was different there, but it was fantastic. So that would be my suggestion. I can't
But that's
hold
a
on.
good place to connect.
I can't tell you how many decks to bring. There's no right or wrong answer. It's space again, like how many you're gonna want. So it's gonna be up to you. If you're kind of like, I want to play a deck I'm comfortable with, bring fewer decks. You're gonna play 4 or 5 and repeat them. If you like want to go wide like me, I never want to play the same deck. But I'm now completely on this train of I'm gonna bring decks for people to play, and I'm never gonna play my own decks. I'm gonna borrow them from other people because I love new decks. So those are some of those like pointers in and out. Does anybody else have any kind of like just like basic travel, basic packing pointers to get?
I still think you should bring 1 or 2 villain decks just in case something happens. Normally, I like bringing Mutagen Formula because it's my favorite, and then something so that Emily doesn't kill me. Does anyone have any other travel advice?
Well, something Brandt said that I think you should emphasize is I think staying at the hotel was critical, because that felt like maybe not half the con, but it felt like a third of the con. Like the con was at the hotel.
Yeah.
Like we played before the con started. We played after the con ended. I met half the people I met at the hotel playing at the hotel. So I think, if you have a choice, stay at that hotel, and it's not a walk. It might as well be a large parking lot you're walking to get to the place. It wasn't a big deal.
Even going back and forth, right? Like Larry, you and I had a chance to talk walking back from the convention over to the hotel, right? Like it's just everything about it is a chance to connect.
And I would say that we've been here the last 2 years, and that I really enjoyed like Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. It's a much more relaxed atmosphere. Sometimes the designers, like Caleb, come back on a Sunday. Like I remember last year, he just had a very informal chat with a whole big group of us there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a pretty intimate setting. It was nice. And I enjoy going back and playing at the hotel. Everyone's chill. You got more people. Maybe you haven't, because a lot of people have left already. People are sharing their snacks because we all buy too much, no matter how hard we try, snacks and drinks.
I think we left a full case of Dr. Pepper there.
Hey,
So,
Craig,
Craig, speak up.
I was actually gonna say, if there's like a hero you want to play, my strategy was to bring I brought Nightcrawler in all 4 aspects. So if there was like, oh, we need Justice, I could be like, well, I can still do that. One of each of the other aspects in case someone else wanted to play him. But I also know people that brought no decks and just borrowed the entire time and made that work too. One thing that I think I'm gonna try next time is to pre-build the villains ahead of time and not keep the modulars separate, so I can just put standard in and go, or standard expert if we're playing expert, because there was like analysis paralysis, which mod set, but if I'm just like, I don't know, I put this one in, we're gonna see how bad it gets.
Yep. So speaking of the hotel, I posted a comment in the chat that the rumor is we are outgrowing the hotel, and I think we've definitely outgrown Game Center. So next year, they're planning or wanting to keep the con in Minneapolis, but most likely will be at a different venue. But still keep us close to FFG, as a lot of the designers were able to stop by, interact. There was a panel discussion, and some even got to get in a game at the table.
Yeah. I would say at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. Don't overthink this thing. Bring whatever makes you feel comfortable. I'm a bit of a maximalist. I bring way too much stuff, as Larry can tell you and Eric can tell you. But at the same time, and definitely Nick. And Nick, you better bring those egg timers next time to keep me on point. But the long and short is just have fun. Don't overthink it. Just whether you bring no decks or all of your decks, just the real win is the community. If
Yeah.
right, so
Yeah, and you can definitely cut down on cost if you are close enough to drive. A lot of people do that. Several people drove in from Ohio. And then, if you share a hotel room with someone, that can cut down on the cost. So
Sure.
there are otherwise, the event itself, I think was only like $65
Yeah.
to attend, plus
Well
meals,
worth it.
etc. But yeah, if you're able to swing it, it's usually the first week in May,
Yeah.
first weekend in May. And as you can tell from the group here, it is a blast, and it just keeps growing and getting better year over year.
I look forward to May. Some people like May the 4th be with you. Others are into Cinco de Drinko, aka Cinco de Mayo. But to me, May is all about
I'm gonna
Marvel
drive
Champions
now.
for me.
That's Kale.
And another thing I would say is leave room, because I didn't leave a lot of room, and that what's game center, they had
You
a
had
lot of
25
70.
You had
A lot of
25
70%
pounds left.
off, 75% off, 60% off. They had a lot of stuff, plus the con gives you stuff. So, leave room, because you might bring some
Yeah.
stuff back.
15
Find some
pounds.
stuff.
True
All
that.
right.
True
Yeah.
that. Is Brandt coming in?
Yeah, I'm coming in.
I heard a rumor Dale was
Well,
going to come in. Where's
I-
Dale?
Come on, get Dale
I
in
know.
here, darn it.
Come on,
No,
take
no,
Brain
we're
off and
wrapping
get
up.
Dale
We're
in.
wrapping up.
Do we have
We're
to?
wrapping up.
Dale,
So-
jump on.
So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Especially thank you to everybody here. We'll call it a panel or a cast of characters for joining us.
Definitely characters.
Especially Dean. I don't actually think you've been on the channel before. Craig, thank you. Scott,
Not in a long time. Yeah, well,
great
no,
to
maybe
meet you
never.
all.
Maybe never. That's right.
Even Emily maybe hasn't been on. I can't remember. So
No,
thank you.
Emily's never been on.
Eric is old hat, so he's in waiting. But I really appreciate everybody coming on here, and it would be awesome to go on for hours and hours, but it's just not going to happen. So I want to get to all those points. So I want to give everybody a chance to say goodbye. We're not quite done, but I do want to mention, so definitely check out Con of Heroes. It's amazing. Like I said, first weekend of May, but check for other local events. And again, just a reminder that we are cooking on something in October-ish, at least fall in Connecticut. So people want to put that on their calendars. The intent is not to pull, deter, or in any way get people away from Con of Heroes, but to offer two options. And maybe people can make both. There are the people who have the ability to travel and make both. And then maybe to offer something to people in the Northeast area or Eastern region that can't make it to something like Con of Heroes, be it even time of year. In fact, I think Dale was even saying it was his anniversary weekend. So that's just not going to work out, right?
Yeah, that sucks.
Things like that. So, yes, and Will is actually here and saying it, like, you want to see Connecticut in the fall.
Will!
I can't lie. Like, the leaves are unbelievable. So it's going to be a great time of year to come. So definitely be on the lookout for that, as we'll get things going and all that kind of stuff. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for the panel.
Cheers.
And I will say before we go that I am the Brandt. I'm going to bring Eric back in, and people can say goodbye if there's anything else you want to say. But Dean, keep it short. Okay.
Wow. Ow.
Nice.
All right, he's gone. Who wants to talk?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no shutting us up now. Anyway,
Hey,
thank
Colby
you
jumped
everyone
on too.
who
We got Will and
who
Colby there.
yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Colby.
Yeah, we got Colby on the chat and Will
Super.
and Dale. But thank you everyone for listening in. If you are interested in the con, I posted the website in this chat. I believe it's just conofheroes.com. You can also go to the Hall of Heroes LCG website as well. There are links for it, and you can always ask questions among the Facebook Marvel Champions group as well.
Yeah, if you missed it, check out the print and play. A lot of the stuff, the events that we did at the con are available either on the website there or at Hall of Heroes.
Yeah, and I'll add that some of the custom stuff, I think, community member put it on TTS too, so you can check it out there if you missed out, just to try out some of the content that was created for the con.
Awesome.
Don't make excuses. Be there next year. We will, and we're gonna have a blast, with or without you.
Hopefully
Cool.
with you.
So until next time, I'm the Brandt.
I'm Larry.
I'm Scott.
I'm
Craig.
dependable Dean.
I'm Nick, your Stan Spartan.
Emily.
I'm always playing, Eric.
Did we get Craig?
I
Come
said
on, Craig.
I said I was Craig, but I can say it again.
Awesome. Sorry, I was waiting for Craig. I didn't hear
I was
you there.
getting confused
That's
with
all
the
right.
swapping.
That's all
It's like
right.
All
the
right, everybody,
Brady
get your snapping finger ready. Ready? Until next time, we hope you step into the portal. Thanks, everybody. Good night. We hope to see you around. Enjoy your Marvel Champions and other games. And thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.